Okay, so now you all are going to spend some time at your table in discussion with your colleagues. And we really need to think about what you can identify as, we really need to know what you identify as your challenges. We need to know what you think about some of the solutions we've heard today, many of which might be solutions to the particular challenge that you are facing within your organization. And we'd love to have some of your really practical ideas about how we might move forward to build a nonprofit platform. And one of the resources at your table is a draft of the public policy priorities that have come out of the donors forums. Both engagement around the state, and we've been doing that since July of this year, various locales around the state, as well as out of our own policy committee. So one of the goals, of course, of this part is to create a nonprofit platform, as Governor Edgar said we should, to share with all the gubernatorial candidates the ideals that this group feels we want to see a gubernatorial candidate respond to. So, and we also think that that might be a really good engagement tool for you around your own policy work. There's a facilitator at each table. Thank you very much for those facilitators that we sort of volunteered to do this. A very simple set of 3 questions. They will lead the conversation. We're going to do this in about half an hour, and then we're going to get out of here before 2:30 so that you can get back to your work. One of the first things the facilitator has to do is to ask somebody to be a scribe. And so those of you who are good at that, please volunteer so there's not this dead silence when the facilitator says, who would like to be the scribe? So anyways, let's start these discussions and then I'll come up. We're going to do a couple of shout outs after this. We're not going to do, every table. And a shout out is a simple sentence. It's not a speech. It's not a paragraph. It's kind of one really crisp highlight from your discussion that you think you would like to share with the group. So thanks, and let's go. Okay, I'm ringing the bell. My clock says officially 2:05. This is great. I mean, I know people left, some people left, but you are the diehard group, and look at you, don't even want to stop talking. This is wonderful. So, those of you who have been engaged in these really deep conversations, I hope you'll appoint somebody to voluntarily share with us 1 or 2 ideas that you think really rose to the top. So we're not going to do every single table. So who is just burning with a desire to share the great conversation you had? Anybody? Well, then I'll call on this table right here. Eric. No speeches, though.
To help us understand the importance and how we engage legislators and move our agendas and the collective agenda forward. And we think Donors Forum is uniquely positioned to provide that training. And also, I'm sorry, I don't understand the background checks.
The other one would be the background check issue. I think it affects so many of us. It's a cost, it's a duplicate cost. It is a hindrance to getting volunteers to do more work. It's something that it's just processes and systems and getting them to talk to each other. So if we could and that could be an easy first win for this caucus, if we create a caucus to get together and make happen, that seems something that the panel was very agreed upon doing.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Janae. Okay, another volunteer? Come on. Yeah, right, in the back.
I know we said 2, but we have 3, so I'm going to break the
That's
rule.
okay.
Okay. Our first one was we thought the bottom-up approach for leadership was not working. Leadership needs to be proactive and come down and tell nonprofits how we should convene, how we should better communicate with them and let them know what's happening in our communities. We think that it's helpful to hold nonprofits accountable for outcomes versus outputs. Let us figure out how to achieve those goals and be entrepreneurial and creative and innovative in that. And then finally, the reporting systems are not efficient. So we're talking about vouchers and processing payments. Takes valuable resources away from the work. So streamlining that and making it better would actually help to get the work done.
Great. Thanks. Terrific. One or two more volunteers? Come on. Your ideas were probably fabulous. Let's hear them. Boyd, thank you. That was your hand you were raising, right?
Piggybacking off the last speaker, the table I was at spoke about metrics, and many of us are actually appreciative for some of the leadership that foundations have given us in looking more deeply at metrics for our programs. However, the Stanford Social Sciences Review recently talked a lot about how some programs shouldn't receive an impact evaluation, that isn't a good use of time and in fact might be ineffective. Just looking at outputs for some types of programming might need to be enough. So having that be part of the discussion at Donors Forum would be very much appreciated.
Great. Okay, Boyd, and you the last one then. That doesn't sound like it. Wow.
Oh, it's working? Okay. Sorry. This is more of a negative thing. We don't think that the liaison should be in the governor's or in the lieutenant governor's office in a position that's legislated to go out in 5 years, because we want to make it a permanent thing, and it needs to be independent of political persuasion. Last, this sort of piggybacks maybe on a bunch of these things, but in terms of actually educating the legislature, let's not go there with, as one of our table persons said, a hat-in-hand position, please listen to us. Let's develop a real partnership of educating back and forth about the problems that the sector has with them and they with us, or just the lack of knowledge that the legislature has about what is really happening on the ground. A lot of those folks referred to the facts that we are the boots on the ground and we know what's going on. We need to tell them about that so that they understand it.
Great. Thank you all. And thank you all for staying. Those of you who were scribes, would you please leave your notes on the table? One of the first next steps from this is that we will be summarizing and compiling all your ideas and synthesizing them and then sharing them back with you. If you had some input around our public policy priorities, we will be taking that up to our Public Policy Committee. That too will come back to you in the form of revised 2014 public policy priorities for us as a sector, around which, for us as a sector to engage. We'll be publishing a story on this whole event in Forum Notes. We will be excerpting various parts of the video, and it will be on YouTube. Please stay engaged with us. I can't reiterate enough how robust and dynamic that website is. And so if you haven't seen it, really encourage you to go and look at it and really understand the data that can support the work that you're doing, the story that you're telling in your own district. If you're a funder, please make sure your grantees know about it as well. Because I think, Eric, you hit on a really key point that is part of Donors Forum's strategic plan, and that is that we all need more training and more comfort and more confidence around advocacy training. There's so much that we can do that is not crossing any line. But a lot of it is about storytelling, and that data can be very rich as a tool to do that. So visit that website. If you don't get our policy alerts, let us know, and you can sign up on our website. Follow us in all our social media. But then lastly, before I kind of just give a few closing remarks, you know, an event like this doesn't happen without an enormous amount of work, as all of you know. And one of the things I think we pride ourselves with at Donors Forum is that we do events pretty well. And yet this was a new kind of event for us, and we were delighted that we were able to get such enthusiastic participation from the legislators. But all of this, as I said, is a lot of orchestration. So I want to recognize a couple of people. First, the great team from Jiskelsa-Turman, and they were the people picking up the blue cards and carrying around the mics, and the always amazing Donors Forum team, which is truly amazing. They're the best, I think, at putting on a lot of these events. And in particular, our dynamic Director of Public Policy and Strategic Communications, which is Delia Coleman. And Delia, please stand. This was her baby. And she gave birth really well, I think, to this baby. And I also want to introduce Doug Schenkenberg, who is our new Vice President for Public Policy at Donors Forum. You will be hearing from him more and seeing him more as we really work to continue this engagement of all of you and to coalesce us as a sector. So my main takeaway of the day is the opportunity really does exist for us to work more closely together, not just those in the sector, but with government. I mean, I thought Governor Edgar had some great ideas. Kyle's examples, man, we can do this. If Michigan can do this, we can do this. Kyle's gone, so I can say that. And the legislators offered some very clear signals that they do want to have a deeper understanding of our work, that they do recognize that we have resources and things, data, and lots of stuff to share with them. But we have to set the table for that. And that's something that I think we all have to do individually as well as collectively. So I'm really, really excited about today. You will hear more from us. We will continue to love to hear your feedback. We've got all kinds of ways for you to do that through social media channels and just plain old email or call me up. But I can't thank you enough for being with us today, because I think I leave here as optimistic, more optimistic than when I started, that we do have the will and we do have the way, I believe, to truly build a stronger Illinois, and we will build it through the work that we will do collectively. So thanks for coming.